where does the idea for Magic Black Review comes from?
Okay, well, the idea for the Black Magic Live documentary originated from actually we have a live show in Las Vegas, which is very much like Chippendales and Thunder from Down Under and Magic Mike. The difference with our show is that Black Magic Live is an all-black male review show. The idea originally came from a movie that I directed and I wrote and produced in 2015 called Chocolate City. We shot the movie independently for about, I think it was $1 million or about $950,000. Shot it as a right after Magic Mike came out as as counter programming, and within 2 months after, while we were editing the movie, Paramount Pictures saw the rough cut and made an offer to us to buy the movie for I think at the time at 3.5 million. So the great thing was before we even finished the movie, we were already in profit. And so that's always a great thing for a filmmaker.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then from that point, once the movie came out, it was #1 in the specialty market. And then Lifetime Network called me and said, "Hey, we saw this movie. We hear you're the director. Can you create a reality show based on this movie?" And that's what launched our live show business.
How do you choose the team of people that are going to be part of the choreography that you produce? With Eureka, I guess. With Eureka,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, Eureka Prats is my partner. We hold casting, and it is a Las Vegas-based show. So you either have to live in Las Vegas, or if you live in LA, several of the dancers do, and they commute back and forth from Los Angeles to Las Vegas.
And what's the process? You have to be a dancer. You have to. Well,
Yeah.
you have to.
Well, yeah, you don't necessarily have to be a dancer to be a part of the Black Magic Live show. You just have to have a passion for performing. The steps are very, they're remedial. They're not, very sophisticated, high level choreography. They're just, basic fun, because the ladies really come to see the guys, show their chests and their body, and that's what the women come for. And to be honest with you, most of the time the women are drunk. They wouldn't know the difference anyway.
Yeah, but you need to. I mean, it's not like I can go and just do it. You need a little something. No?
Well, yes, you certainly there is some choreography, and there you do have to have some basic movement abilities. So yeah, and you have to have a good body. You have to because our show is specifically a Black male review show. You have to be Black. That helps.
Of course.
Although we do have a guest performer coming in next week, Tom Hanks's son, the actor Tom Hanks, his son, his name is Chet. Chet Hanks is going to be a guest performer on our show next week.
How is the relationship with all the dancers? It felt like a family, but how do they relate to each other? Is it camaraderie? Do they live together like in a Big Brother, or how does it work?
Yeah, well, they all, the performers in the show have developed a very strong brotherly relationship among themselves. They are very, very, they hang out together, they spend time, they party, and it's become like a family. I mean, these are guys who've been working and dancing, performing at the show going on 3-4 years now. And so, it's a small community, and they rely on each other a great deal for support.
JC, considering that this society is very racist, especially became more racist through the 4 years of Trump,
Yes.
that your show faces racism or not at all?
When we first moved to Las Vegas, we did experience a bit of, it wasn't racism as much as it was, we were not part of the city, and we were foreign to the business community, being an
To
all
all the
black,
establishment, right? The
yeah,
establishment
yeah,
industry.
establishment being an all black show. And so, over time, I think the city saw that we were a legitimate show. We were bringing a different demographics to the Las Vegas Strip, and we obey all the city codes, and now that with COVID, the protocols, and so the city has pretty much accepted us um, a lot more than when we first came onto the scene.
So Jean-Claude, do you have to be a shark to be able to survive in Vegas?
Yeah, both at the blackjack table, the gambling table, as well as at the show. Look, it's like any business. You have to navigate, through the politics of the city, but also your competitors. I mean, we are in a highly, highly competitive market. I mean, when you go to Las Vegas, there's nothing short of entertainment options. So, we had to sort of weather those storms. We started off with our show seeing, 20 people a night to 40 people a night to 200 people a night to 300 people a night. I mean, it just slowly and gradually builds over time if you have the sustenance and the wherewithal to just, continue.
Plus, you're offering something unique, I think,
Yes, our
for
show,
in a
yeah,
specific market.
right, right. So our show is a niche show. So it's a very specifically targeted towards the African American market and Latino market. So we get a lot of, although to be fair, we get a lot of white patrons as well. I mean, our show probably sees about 25% of our audience are white Caucasian women. But overwhelmingly our show is uh, African American geared, targeted.
But the concept of sexiness, sensuality, seeing sexy guys, it doesn't matter if they're whatever they are, they're sexy.
It doesn't matter if they're green.
Who
And you're right.
cares?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sure women are like that too.
Yeah, and women. I mean, listen, women love men. They love white women. I've found really have an appetite for chocolate men. And so yeah, it's we're finding that our audience base is expanding over time.
What makes the show so attractive in a world in which you said there are a lot of competition?
Our show is attractive, I think, to customers because it's a unique show. It's unique because, as we stated, it's an all black male show. Our counterparts like Magic Mike and Chippendales and Thunder from Down Under, some have no black guys, some have one, or it's just a sprinkling of black guys dancers. Our show is just all black dancers. So I think that makes it unique. I think it makes it a draw. And the fact that we've been going on now for 4 years successfully in the market is proof of that.
I think it's great. Yeah, it's super cool. But have you done tours, or would you consider touring, or how does?
We were planning a tour pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic hit, and so that sort of squashed our hopes. We're sort of recalibrating and looking at 2022, if not 2023.
In your daily life, do you have to be in Vegas every night, checking everything out like the super manager, or what?
No. I'm in Vegas. I'm in Vegas on Thursday through Sundays. I'm in LA. I'm a filmmaker, so most of my business is here in the city in Los Angeles. But I also host the show, or I serve as host
Okay.
at the show. So I have to be there as an employee.
So you're the MC as well.
Yes, I host the show. Correct.
Is it difficult? Is it fun?
It's very short. I come in, I introduce, the show. In the middle of it, I think after like the third set, I come back and I introduce the soloists after the soloists, and then before the show ends. So I'm up there like 3 times during the hour and a half.
I thought the costumes were really cool, sexy, a lot of fantasy. Who designs that?
We had, Eureka is our sort of creative person. She, suggested a lot of the costumes, and then we went and got a costume designer who designed all the costumes that you see.
I loved her in the documentary. She's
No,
cool.
great. She was totally
nice lady.
Totally cool.
I don't think it's necessary to talk about Vivica Fox because it will make it too complicated.
Right,
I'd rather talk about your thing. And
yes,
in the documentary, you mentioned that in this society there's a taboo of Black male sexuality. Could you explain? Is it linked to racism, or could you elaborate, please?
Yeah. This country was built on racism.
It's fucked up. I know.
Yeah, it was built that, we don't learn that in history class, but the reality is, Black people were brought here from another continent and enslaved and made to work. Part of the ownership of Black people in this country gave you certain privileges. And one of the privileges was to do with them what you will, because they were property. So if you wanted to breed or create more Black people, you get one female slave and a male slave, and you force them to breed. Yeah. That was a very big part of the slave system. And so Black men have been hypersexualized, for that stigma all remained over time. In fact, there were, tons of stories of slave masters whose wives slaves were brought to fornicate with them. Right. And so sex and slavery came almost hand in hand. And so over time, Black men have been stigmatized in a way that sort of is a throwback to that time period. And so in modern society, our show specifically, what we choose to do is we flip the script. We now use sexuality as an asset rather than a taboo. And
you turn it around.
Yeah, because Black men are beautiful and they have great bodies and they're very sexy, and we want to celebrate that rather than use it as some dark tool, and as most racists do. And so our show is a celebration of Black men.
And how do you see your future?
Well, I think I've got a couple of films left in me. And
only two?
Yeah.
You're too young.
Yeah, two films. Two films. I just, it takes, listen, making movies, you start making a movie.
It's true.
And it before long, 3 years, you're still into this movie. And so it takes a lot of time. And the piece that I'm working on right now is a very big movie about World War II and the Holocaust, and it's just a lot. So I know that I've been working on this movie now 4 years, going on about 4 years.
My last question, because I talk too much, I don't want to make you dizzy.
Yeah.
So,
no.
What makes this show so successful? That is growing and growing, and
I think when you walk. When you go, when you're on a street that has, 5 hamburger stores and you decide to open up a hot dog stand, I think you'll do well.
Yeah.
I think you'll do well. And I think that's what it is. I think, we offer something different. And so I think it's going to continue growing because of that.
Where can we see the show in Vegas?
The show is every Thursday through Sunday nights. You can see the show at the Embassy Theater. It's an
Oh,
off
cool.
strip. Yeah, it's off strip. It's a standalone, huge building. And the show starts at 8:30. It's an hour and 30 minutes. And we have two shows on Friday nights. And yeah, definitely come down and check it out.